Hi, I'm Brian at WVGamers, and today we're going to be talking about a party game. And wait, I know you're getting ready to hit the stop button or skip button. Just wait. I promise this is not just another Cards Against Humanity clone or anything. Yes, I know there's a lot of those, and there's nothing wrong with those. I promise, I like those, I have a few of those myself. This one's a little more of a clever party game. This one is SYNK. I would almost say that this one has a little more in common with Scrabble and kind of a party word sort of game. What's interesting about SYNK by Silly Giraffe Games is you're thinking more about words and definitions. Well, maybe not definitions, maybe. You're trying to be a little more clever with wordplay than your traditional party game. Where party games, you're just trying to think of the most ridiculous things you can come up with to try to get the selector to pick your card. In this case, you're trying to be clever, trying to make sure the person with the card doesn't get your word. And you're trying to get other people to sync up with you and to make sure that you come up with the word before the time basically elapses, sort of. So let's talk about what SYNK is. So let's look at what is in the game. Okay, here's where it basically is like a party game. It's a whole bunch of cards. Yes, we are going to talk about a party game and it's going to look and feel like a party game because most people who play party games like that traditional format because that's what they're comfortable with. So yes, I'm sorry, I stopped you from going and clicking away. It's still going to feel and look like a party game, but where it's different is how it plays. So how it's going to play is the lead player is going to take one of these cards, and on these cards is going to be a word and the definition. Now at the beginning of the game, the only thing we care about is the word itself. But specifically, the only thing we care about is the first letter. The lead player is going to hide this and only say the first letter, which is R. All the other players are going to sit around and think of a word that starts with R. Once somebody has a word that starts with R, they're going to say, I got one. They're going to come up with some description of a word that is with R, but they're not going to say the word. They're going to just start describing it. Once another player believes they know what it is, they're going to say SYNK. And that player is going to stop describing. And both players are going to go 3, 2, 1, and both shout what the word is. But the person with the card, if they're clever and they think that they know what the two players are going to shout, they can chime in and shout the word as well. Now, if the two players happen to say the same word, and the third person with the card does not shout a word or does not say the same word, and if they are the two players are in sync, they get the second letter. And then we repeat the same process over. Yay for the players. Now there's no reward beyond that at this point, but the game continues in the favor of all the players. Now, if by some chance the two players did sync, but the third player also synced, because your clue is a little too obvious, and the lead player's like, well, that's obvious, you told me exactly what your word was, then the players don't get the second letter, and they're stuck continuing working with the letters that they may have had. So I say letters because if you're further along, you just have the clues that you had to work with before. And so basically that's going to be how it's going to kind of proceed. Now, if by some chance you are really clever and you happen to get the entire word, you happen to get the secret word, which was on the card, then you are awarded that card. So if you're the person who came up with the definition or came up with the secret word that you were describing and the other person synced with you and you both synced together, then you get the card by coming up with the right word in the first place. But if you came up with the secret word and the other person didn't come up with the same word with you and they said the wrong word, then the player who had the card gets to keep the card as their point. I know it sounds a little confusing, But honestly, once you play a couple rounds, it's actually pretty clever how it works out. So it's a unique little twist on the party game mechanic. Super simple. Once you play a few rounds, easy to play. The only thing I would say I don't like about the game is the fact that there's really no incentive for being the person who shouts sync, other than helping progress the game along a little ways. So other than that, that's really the only thing I don't like about the game. Trying to brainstorm solutions for that, I don't really have one. It's not really a game that you would want to give out partial points for or anything like that. I don't really have a solution for that, but maybe the designers can come up with some kind of variant mode or something like that where there would be some kind of points. But other than that, it is clever. I like it. It's something a little different. It's not where you're just trying to come up with the most ridiculous answers and trying to just be basically the most horrible person. So yeah, it is a neat little variant on the classic party game because let's face it, there's a lot of variants of Cards Against Humanity. I have reviewed multiple games that have that same kind of feel. Now, that's not to say that there's not some really cool takes on that Cards Against Humanity type of feel. I've reviewed quite a few really interesting takes on it that take that same kind of concept and makes it something kind of elegant and something neat. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's definitely a good way to make that formula something new and a lot of fun. But this, I just think it's something that helps bridge the gap between people who would play like I said in the beginning, some people who play like word games like Scrabble or Categories? Is that a game? I think that's the name of the game. Those types of traditional word games, they would probably play something like this over those other games. So this is probably a good way to bridge the gap of those, those types of groups and the party groups. So I could easily see this, especially being played with, your more traditional families who play like Scrabble and stuff like that. So if you like your party games and you can't get your, I'm going to say it this way, no offense to anybody. If you would like to get your older members of your family playing games who play your more traditional games, this might be a perfect solution for that, of bridging them into it. So check out SYNK when it hits Kickstarter in May. So that's been SYNK. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.